sometimes we tend to lose track of just how important carotenoids are. Now, you've heard us talk about that. If you follow my Facebook posts and things like that, you've seen me pop this data in from time to time about the relationship between carotenoids and breast cancer. Basically, it says that women with the highest concentrations of carotenoids, total serum carotenoids, that's all the carotenoids from food, in their blood have the lowest incidence breast cancer and the lowest likelihood of it recurring should they get breast cancer. Okay? Bulletproof fact, absolutely bulletproof fact. But something that we've just found out recently is, through genetics, we have been able to identify genetic risk factors. In breast cancer, it's the BCRA gene sequence, right? And we know that women who have either the one or two of those on their chromosomes are at greater risk. But this is what we found. Circulating carotenoids in breast cancer among high-risk individuals. Okay, some of you ladies are at higher risk than the others. And what it said was, for women with the highest percentage, circulating carotenoids were associated with a 37% ARR as an average risk reduction when comparing to the highest quartile to the lowest quartile of circulating carotenoids. And again, not only do we see that those benefits apply to women in general, but if you have the BCRA genes, if you've got the genetic predisposition or the family history of that, they're probably even more important to you and better at protecting those that are at risk. It protects everybody, but particularly for those who are at risk. They concluded here, the inverse association between circulating carotenoids and breast cancer risks appear to be more pronounced in high-risk women, meaning that the higher your risk, the more important carotenoids are and the greater benefit they're going to provide. Okay? We need to keep getting that message out to the world, by the way. Dietary prevention of breast cancer in women. This is another March 2021. This is I won't call her a friend, an associate of mine up at the University of Washington who did an analysis of some recent research. She says among women with high-risk germline variants, that's the genetic sequencing variant, lifetime breast cancer development risk of development can approach 70%. So if you have those two genetic markers, those SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms, whatever you want to call them, then you have a 70% lifetime chance of having breast cancer. That's high. I'd take those odds in Vegas any day. 70% probability of something. In this case, it's a very negative thing, though. It says meta-analysis and pooled analyses. That means looking at the broad array of the data and then pooling it into certain types of groups, meaning women of certain age or women of certain ethnic backgrounds or genetic backgrounds. Found reduced risk of breast cancer in women with higher blood concentrations of carotenoids. Now, why is that important? Because you can eat a lot of carotenoid-rich foods. If you sit down and chew a raw carrot, you're going to get some carotenoids, but only about 10% of the carotenoids that are in that carrot are actually going to get to you, simply because it's bound up so tightly in the structure of those plant cells that it isn't released. It's hard for the body to extract. So you can't just base somebody's carotenoid status on what their plate looks like, what their diet looks like, what they fill out when they say, do you ever eat carrots? Oh, I eat them all the time. Just chew them raw or whatever. So the key here is higher blood concentrations. Why that's important to you is because if you look at our USDA data and our own human clinical trial data, you'll see that we proved blood concentrations. We didn't just say they're there, we showed that they get into your bloodstream. And it's the same ones that are present in the foods that we make these from. So very big differences. We were the first company ever to do that. Some other companies have tried. But we, way back in the 1980s, late 80s, early 90s, were doing this research, which is why we got invited to the New York Academy of Sciences meeting where they was all about carotenoids and cancer and got to do a session on bioavailability. It says the evidence from this observational study suggests that diet matters in breast cancer risk reduction, particularly in women of high risk. Okay, diet matters. Not diet matters all the time, but women of high risk, diet in general, carotenoids in particular, matter tremendously for you. So if you're in that category, you should just pay closer attention. If you know anybody that is, you should pay closer attention. If you don't know if you're in that category and you have a family history or something, these sorts of gene sequencing tests are cheap now. You can get it done for under $100. I recommend that if you have reason to be concerned, you do that. So as I said, this product has been proven. This is the most, as Dr. Karugi puts it, the most researched natural whole food carotenoid supplement in the world. There's none other like it. The level of research behind it, the research that's been done, the people that are involved in that research, us and the researchers from the USDA and people at the CDC and universities and institutions all across the country and across the world that are involved in this substantiate this tremendous amount of clinical research that supports the product.